Before this video begins, I would like to thank the assistance I was given on this script. Big shoutouts to V Has Long Hair, Hyrule Fields, and Michael P for the help with this video. Thank you guys. Well, let's begin. Persona 5 Royal is royal, alright. It's a royal piece of shit. Little does a game like Persona 5 come into the mainstream. Little does a game like Persona 5 make me feel so conflicted. I wanted to like Persona 5 Royal so badly. I mean, everyone I knew gave it such a high praise, but yeah, I felt it to be so damn shallow and just overall bad. What the hell happened? I love RPGs so much, but why is this the game bad? Back on Christmas 2008, I was gifted a PlayStation 4 alongside a copy of Spider-Man. Needless to say, I was pretty ecstatic. A week later, I went to GameStop to find games for my new consoles, and I found a fresh new copy of Persona 5 for around 30 bucks. I remember hearing a lot about this game from my friends and people I follow on Twitter, but everyone I knew online was the one who loved these games. And I was skeptical, but I decided to give it a try. I got home and I put it in my console, and I played it for around 30 minutes. Then I turned it off due to sheer confusion on what the hell is going on. I just played Spider-Man instead, and man, that's a really good game. I didn't touch it again until around April of 2019. I gave it another shot then, and I decided to keep going despite my confusion. Eventually, everything did start to make sense and what the hell is going on, and you know what? I actually started to enjoy it. I played it continually all the way to the end, 80 hours later, and I was actually happy with the game. This doesn't mean I was calling it a masterpiece with a 10 out of 10 rating. I knew Persona 5 had its issues, some bad story writing, inconsistencies, and overall dumb things. All that aside, I still had fun with the game. One thing I did love about the game was the characters, actually. RPG characters always give me one of the major things I remember about a game. If you have nothing but boring characters, the game just won't be memorable at all. I mean, come on. The Persona 5 cast is not perfect, however, but more on that will be discussed later. So after I finished the game, I started to get hooked on the characters and the art of the game. I even drew some Persona 5 art, and I have merchandise of the game, and needless to say, I was a fan. Then I heard the big news. Persona 5 Royal. This upcoming game was going to be a re-release. It was going to be enhanced. It had new locations, new characters, new music, new mechanics, and best of all, new story. I was excited. I let Persona 5 sit with me, but then more issues came to light. There was even more issues with the game that I didn't experience due to the size of the game and time limits. I was very eager for Persona 5 Royal. I was ready for a replay of this game to see if any of my opinions and thoughts would change since my first time playing. The wait would be long, but in the end, it was really nothing but a giant waste of time. I mean, I really did enjoy my first playthrough of Persona 5. I drew art of Joker occasionally. I own a Joker t-shirt. I have a Mini Morgana. I have a Joker, Prison Joker, Narsen Funko Pops. Hell, I even cosplayed as Joker for a convention I was going to go to, but I didn't thanks to the current pandemic. March 31st, 2020 was the release date of Persona 5 Royal here in the West. And needless to say, I was ready. I started to play the game and it was just the same game again? Okay, this isn't a fair piece of criticism. What did you expect, Mr. Doomarachi? Persona 6? No. Okay, I'll work with this. They have to at least change some of the story around. I mean, the ending of the game is absolute. There's no way they can have anything new after the big final fight. They added a third semester and a whole new palace. It has to be before the big battle at the end, right? I mean, what can possibly happen after this humongous battle? To understand my perception of the game, we will need to look at all the big things that happened before the entire new content. We will just go over some of my thoughts and some things that happened in the story. We will mostly focus on the main characters and villains. Please remember my disclaimer at the beginning of this video. I will be fair and not be a toxic asshole. I am concerned about how this video will actually do because God forbid anyone talk bad about this game without the entire fandom raining hellfire upon you. Since everyone and their grandmother have made a video about how great this game is, I'll be mostly focusing on what I do not like about this game. I will occasionally throw in some positives and areas where credit is absolutely due. So many people love this game. Why is it that they love it so much? One word. Presentation. Persona 5 is a breathtaking game. There is no denying that. This is one of my favorites when it comes to visuals. Persona has one of my favorite anime art styles out there behind, I guess, JoJo Part 4. People constantly praise it for its looks and music, but I rarely see them talk about how much they enjoy the combat and above all, the story. Combat in the game is pretty alright, but far from perfect. And the story is... yeah, we'll get there. I believe this is why people get blinded when they're reviewing the game. All this style going right into their eyes when the actual issues at hand are being thrusted away. For the sake of this video, I won't talk about every little issue that already exists. There are numerous story issues and bad character writing, but all that aside, I will just go over the characters that are important to Royal and the experiences they had so we can get into Royal with full knowledge of what we need to know. Persona 5 characters are what I believe is the reason I am attached to this game. There's Ryuji, An, Yusuke, Makoto, Futaba, and Haru. Akechi and newcomer Kasumi, who is actually Sumire, who will be discussed later on. The main character of the game is a huge fan favorite as well, which I will be naming him Akira. It's my script, and the name really suits him for me. If you like Ren, that's fine, but I'm going with Akira. I'm going to go very quickly over the Phantom Thieves themselves. I won't go over the other confidants because they don't really matter that much in the content of the Royal. Ryuji Sakamoto is a true bro character. The bro characters in these types of games and animes are usually the best characters in the entire game. Ryuji, however, isn't the best guy in the game, but you know what? He is pretty good. He's not perfect, but I enjoy seeing him on my screen. He loves sports, hanging out with his friends and his family. The true definition of a tough exterior with a nice and fluffy interior. He's treated in the game as a guy who doesn't think straight and is basically the fuck up of the group. As mentioned before, he is too hot-headed and there's a reason a lot of situations happen to the Phantom Thieves. He's the main reason Kamoshida was going to expel him, Akira, and Mishima. He made getting into Madarame's palace more difficult than it needs to be by being hot-headed towards Yusuke. He doesn't know when to shut his mouth about being a Phantom Thief, causing Makoto to overhear him and record him initiating Makoto's request towards Kaneshiro. He started a whole very poorly written fight between him and Morgana that wasted time instead of working together to take down Okumura. He was being a dumbass towards Shido during the Shido arc, almost causing the entire operation to shut down. This game tries really hard to make him the dumb character, but I refuse to believe that Ryuji is actually this dumb. He is capable of understanding the severity of some situations, yet the game continually makes him mess things up. Ryuji's confidant story revolves him helping out old track team members with their disgruntlement of what happened with the team and blaming Ryuji all on it. You get to go through all the 10 stages of the confidant rankings. In the end, everything works out and everything's all hunky-dory, which is the main theme of every confidant story. The problem with Ryuji in his confidant story is that he's a completely different Ryuji than in the main story. Ryuji in the confidant starts to accept more of the world around him in his past. He doesn't want to blame others for the issues and he feels more free. Issue with this, that Ryuji in the main story in every single arc of the game is super hot-headed against the current villains. He hates all their guts and even Akechi's, into the moment where the game decides to have the main cast sympathize and love Akechi despite the fact that he hates the absolutely living shit out of all of them. Some of my favorite moments are actually with Ryuji. Ryuji sometimes comes over and you can read manga with him, you can watch a movie or play video games with him. These moments are so damn important in the game because it adds more friendship between the Phantom Thieves, so the game doesn't force you to believe that they're all best friends. I think Ryuji is overall a good character and a good boy. Good bro character. An Takamaki is more plain than white bread. I didn't like her. In fact, I think I hate her. She isn't funny at all, and her character entails that she likes sweets and is a mid-grade model. The game has her make jokes and have her pick on other members of the group, but it's so cringy and just forced. No one is laughing. Amy Schumer is funnier than you, An. She has a rough past with Kamoshida, but all that is pretty much forgotten once we get into Madarame. She doesn't want to be a sexual object, yet her Phantom Thief outfit is a dominatrix suit with her chest basically just popping out, and she has a perfectly slimmed down, beautiful skin, nice hair model. Nobody is born a specific way, so she's most likely didn't ask to be beautiful like this, but the fact that when it comes literally right after Kamoshida's palace is a slap to the face. What's strange about An is that she's supposed to be the beautiful one in the group. She's supposed to be the prettiest girl in the whole school and nobody can match her beauty. What makes this weird is that she looks just like every other female in the game. An is supposed to be like American or something like that, but I would go out to say that she looks more Asian than any other characters. I swear, she is the most useless character alongside Haru in the entire game. The only use she has ever needed is helping out in the Madarame heist. Thank God An is a woman with woman goody-goodies, because the entire Madarame arc would not have happened or would have been much more difficult if it wasn't for An and her boinky doinkies. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, so here's the deal. Akira and Ryuji could not have finished the palace if it wasn't for An taking the nude modeling offer. There is no conceivable legal way in order to open the door of Madarame's shack that would have let the Phantom Thieves continue within the palace. An is the only way they could have done it in that point in the game. Just more on that later, of course. She is seriously useless throughout the entire rest of the game. Everything that An does in the rest of the game could have been done by any other Phantom Thief character. The only other major time she tries to be useful is in the Shido Palace when she pretends to be a British royalty to get the letter of recommendation. Her acting could have been easily done by any other Phantom Thieves. Makoto, Haru, Hell, even Futaba could have done it. But I guess according to the game, these girls are not nearly as beautiful as An or as talented as An. In short, she is legit the one character in the game that seems impossible to f up or derail, but Atlas always seems to find a way. So whatever, I'm being serious when I say that white bread has more character than An. Yusuke Kitabaka is the best boy. Let's go! I love everything about Yusuke. He has one of the best personalities in the entire game. He has such a unique view on the world that no one else in the entire game has. His entire confidant arc revolves around discovering new takes and views and emotions in the world that he hasn't been able to put too much thought on before. What's even better about Yusuke is that he is the only Phantom Thief member who calls upon the other members to help him in one of the ranks in his confidant story. He needs help discovering what to draw in his upcoming exhibit. This is amazing. I still don't understand why the team doesn't get together more in these social link things. Yusuke is absolutely my favorite character for a multitude of reasons. I needed to gather more thoughts on Yusuke, so asked my fellow Yusuke enjoyer, V has long hair on Twitter, a very close friend of mine, to put his thoughts together. Yusuke really is the odd one out of the group, even more odd than Futaba, who's supposed to be the most quirky and odd character ever, but more on that later. Yusuke's design helps him stand out. While Kira, Ryuji, An, Makoto, and Haru wear their Shujin outfits, Yusuke wears his Koisei Academy outfit, Koisei, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is white and black. Helps him look more posh, mature, and simplistic. Yusuke starts off as a stuck-up, sheltered artist, but evolves to the most mature and calm character in the entire game. Yusuke, unlike any other characters, is actually self-aware about himself and accepts the fact that he is indeed a strange character, and since he didn't have a strong father figure or a consistent mother figure, it led him to developing it very, very differently. He is tone deaf in situations and doesn't understand some social cues. Yusuke and Madarame are a very dynamic duo. Yusuke, for the love of him, cannot let go of Madarame and continues to call him sensei long after the whole situation, even though he does correct himself. He does this because it's the only thing he has in his life. Madarame has been there for a very long time. It's been there since a young age, and he was all he had besides the art he created. The confidant rankings feels incredible and does not require you to go to mementos and do things to fix Yusuke's life, which we'll discuss really much later. Yusuke's problems are that actual problems that magic just cannot solve. Only hard work and willpower. He explores the human emotions and draws incredible art that I legit would buy in real life. Yusuke and Madarame are the yin yang. Madarame wants to do nothing but make money off of something super profitable. Yusuke cares so little about money that he accidentally starves himself because of his entire finances always go to his art supplies, because that's how passionate he's about it. Yusuke is such a good character that people wanted a romance option with him because of how incredible he is. I mean, he sure did steal my heart. What an incredible character. I wish I could say the same for the next person. Makoto Nijima. I have some very choice words for you. She forces herself upon the role of the brains of the group. She does all the planning, all the tactics, and basically everything a leader would do. Makoto is the leader of the Phantom Thieves. Except, wait a second, hold on. I thought Akira was supposed to be the leader? It really makes you sit back and wonder what the hell Akira actually does other than agreeing on the topic at hand and occasionally speaking during a subject. The game tries to give this illusion that Akira is the leader and does all the big decision making, despite every other member of the team coming up with the ideas and making conversations that lead to the big decision. During the Shido arc, the game constantly tells you that the Phantom Thieves absolutely cannot function without Akira, despite him doing basically nothing other than being able to wield different personas and always leading the charge throughout the palaces. Makoto does exactly the job Joker is supposed to have. She is so poorly written as a character to care about because she is just so annoying. One segment I really hated is the part where you decide her Phantom Thief name. Out of all the names that are given, she calls herself Queen. How far up your ass do you need to be to call yourself that? Her confidant story is one of the lamest, mostly because it doesn't even focus on Makoto herself, rather than a girl named Iko, or Aiko. We spend most of Makoto's rank trying to fix Aiko's problems in a situation because she is the student council president, and it is her job to fix every student's problems apparently. The Aiko story isn't really the worst, but it isn't exciting or fun. It's a serious situation, but why does this need to be Makoto's job? Where are Aiko's parents, or the police, or something? In one rank, we learn more about her father and how her father's death put more stress on Sai, Makoto's sister. This is the only time Makoto gets any backstory, and instead of slowly building it up like most other confidants, the game just gets it out of the way randomly in one point for seemingly no reason. I'm serious, just watch how random this comes from.
Vsauce, nigga here. Notice how nobody fucking asked.
I swear, Sai gets more character building than Makoto herself. Makoto is supposed to be the smartest one out of the group, but most of the time, her deductions and thoughts are sometimes so obvious that the average player can figure it out themselves. But the game always treats her revelations as these big twists and something that only her could have figured out. Makoto is either your favorite character or your most hated character. I can never find people who just look at her and say, she's okay, or she's just fine. She's your waifu or she is your headache. Futaba Sakura is a very strange character. She is the token nerd character of the group who constantly references pop culture in video game terms because she is wacky and quirky. I understand that she doesn't have much social interactions outside of her hacker lab, but the whole point of her confidant rankings is to make her more socially interactive. Even if you max it out, she'll still act the exact same throughout the entire game. She isn't a fighter due to her being weak from being a shut-in and abused for most of her life, so her persona doesn't fight, but rather supports the team. Honestly, yes, this is a great tie-in. It's genius. I applaud the team for thinking that. Her persona helps the team in mementos by discovering the floor's maps, and in battles it can sometimes randomly give you stat buffs or even heal. Futaba is probably the game's most recognizable character if you don't count the protagonist. When you talk about Persona 5 to a person who knows about the game but doesn't know too much about it, they will probably know about Futaba, or at least know what she looks like. Futaba's character is just way too quirky for me to like. A lot of people like her, and I solely believe because of her epic gamer girl nature. Everyone loves a gamer girl. All these references make Futaba so strange because never in the game do we ever actively see her partake in this stuff. Yes, I know she's a shut-in, but that doesn't mean that whenever we hang out, she doesn't have Minecraft or 4chan open on her epic gamer rig in her room. This could just be a nitpick for me, but Futaba was an annoying little bug, and I did not want to deal with her. I hated her. Haru Okumura is the second most useless character in the game. She is introduced formally during the Okumura arc. One of my major problems with her is that she's introduced so late that the solid player base didn't even bother with her confidant rankings because they've already met so many other characters that they have to juggle around these confidant ranks already. Royal adds some extra time to the game, so she does get more screen time, of course, as many people complained. Haru still comes way too late into the game, so it's a new confidant to juggle around. It doesn't mean her confidant story is a waste of time, actually. It's actually not that bad. She doesn't really have a character. Like, what does she fight for? So, like, she wanted to fix her dad so that he could be a better person that she believed he could be. But then her dad died, so she wanted to take revenge on Akechi and the big mean adults of the world, but then Akechi gets redeemed, I guess. So what does Haru really fight for? Because it's just the right thing to do? Haru doesn't really do anything for the group. She helps out throughout Okumura's palace and is required for the one letter of recommendation on Shido's palace. So she has that over on, at least. She's so quiet and reserved that sometimes I forget she even exists. She rarely adds anything to the conversation and is just there for the ride, it seems. I won't be making the haha no screen time or haha big forehead jokes because the Persona fandom has like 6 jokes in total. Haru is just so lame. Her voice is annoying. Her skills are not even that useful other than using her Sai skills. But by the time you get Haru, Joker should already have powerful Sai skills. The only reason Haru exists is that she is cute waifu bait for sad, alone, and pathetic gamers who have nothing to do than play with their virtual waifus. Sorry, not sorry. In Persona 5 Royal, there are 3 major characters we had to focus on in this game. The characters require the confidants to be maxed out to experience the new content. These characters are Sumire Yoshizawa, Goro Akechi, and everyone's favorite counselor, Dr. Maruki. Before we get to the new months after December, there's some important things we need to know beforehand. The game begins with us in Sai's palace trying to escape. Everything is normal until this moment right here. This introduces us to the grappling hook mechanic that is new. We get ambushed, but luckily we have help. A Persona user comes by and does cool things to help us. We enter a fight and finish it with style. We split up and everything goes on as it's supposed to. Later on, we meet this person again at a school activity. We did meet her earlier at a subway station. We befriend her and become very impressed by her gymnastic skills, and Akira and Morgana agree that she could help us train and become more agile in the metaverse. So let's talk about Sumire for a second. I really liked her. I think she's a great character, I'm not even gonna lie. I enjoyed being around her, and she was very useful in combat. I was very scared during the early parts of my first playthrough that Sumire and Dr. Maruki could be nothing but these half-assed shoehorned in characters, but I was really pleasantly surprised how great they felt. Sumire's confidant ranking is introduced very late into the game, and I mean very late. Regardless, it's a pain in the ass to juggle around another confidant that you want to max out before the end of the game. Of course, when you first make your confidant, you have the first 5 ranks. After a certain big event, you do get the other 5 stars, and now you start working your way towards rank 10. Samira's confidant rank revolves around the struggle being faced with a block in her choreography and her gymnastics. She's been feeling this block for quite some time because she hasn't been able to feel like she has able to achieve more than her sister did. Her sister unfortunately passed away a long time ago, causing Sumire to go to a deep depression. Sometimes we get to hang out with Sumire just because the plot says so. We go to a cafe sometime in July, and Mr. Gorokechi joins us. This is the first time these two meet. This is also where Sumire first talks about the Phantom Thieves and states her opinion on them. We find her good luck charm, and for some reason we need to give it back. She gives us a call and tells us that she can meet us there to have it back. Akira and Morgana agree and start heading over. Sumire starts getting depressed, thinking about herself. She thinks she is just so useless and causes too much trouble to Akira and even Dr. Maruki. While she is there, she overhears a couple's conversation on the structure. They say it's some kind of research lab. Sumire then says to herself that it's a research lab, but a stadium. But somehow the MetaNav on her phone was listening on keywords, so now we go to the metaverse. So, wait a second. We just entered someone's palace. Who could it have possibly been? Let's rewind and see who it was. Sumire starts getting depressed, thinking about herself. She thinks she is just so useless and causes too much trouble to Akira and even Dr. Maruki. While she is there, she overhears a couple's conversation on the structure. They say it's some kind of research lab. Sumire then says to herself that it's a research lab, but a stadium. Ah. Yes, I see. I sure do f***ing wonder who could be the palace ruler. We explore the palace for a little bit and find Sumire. She runs to a cognitive version of her dead twin sister and starts to freak out. Run over to her and she's about to be attacked by a shadow. Voices appear and make Sumire starts to get angry. She's hulking out, bro. Then comes a cutscene of her waking up to her persona. We fight the shadow and escape the palace. We leave the palace and discuss what just happened. Sumire puts 2 and 2 together and figures out that we are indeed members of the Phantom Thieves. Morgana offers an invitation to the group, but she declines in favor of her gymnastics. We clearly enter the palace and Morgana wants to know who it is. Sumire looks at her phone and discovers that it's dead. Guess it'll just be a mystery. It's not like she can just charge it. Look at the MetaNav's history, but I guess it'd be too much work and it would spoil all the fun in January, I guess, so whatever. Sumire is actually really, really good, and I will admit that she is probably one of the best girls in the entire game. She has a great personality, she's never annoying, and it's actually quite useful in the last palace of the game. Last up, we have to talk about Gorokechi, for his confidant has been overhauled this time around. In the base game Persona 5, Gorokechi was one of the confidants that just gets automatically raised over time throughout the story. This time around, it's up to you to hang out with them. This is a much more efficient way of learning more about Kechi than before. Akechi's confidant is honestly the way I would like confidants to be in this game. Instead of just helping through some very serious life issues, you and Akechi just have bro time. This confidant ranking, however, has a weird way of being ranked, however. At rank 8, Akechi asks you to come to mementos with him, but he has something in mind. He requests a duel with you and you enter a battle with him. When you win, Akechi finally snaps and say how much he hates you. He hates how much you are just better than him. Akechi then gives Akira his glove, requesting for him to hold on to it and request a duel another day when he wishes. You cannot hang out with Akechi or raise his rank anymore to the big scene at Shido's palace. It will then be automatically raised to 9 and then 10. Weird, but whatever, I don't care anymore. People refer to Akechi as a wasted asset before Royal, and of course after Royal, everyone claims that he's better in this game. However, Akechi is still the psychotic serial-killing murderer that the game pushes so hard to make you sympathize with, so I'm still not really convinced. Throughout the entire game, everyone hates Akechi, doesn't want anything to do with Akechi, then the moment that we defeat him in battle, we're just like, oh hey, you can totally join a team, we love you. Like, no, get out of here with that. I've been saving this one for last, because never have I seen a character so terrible. That's right, Morgana has no character whatsoever. The only character that he does have is that he has no idea what the f*** he's talking about. Everything he explains to the cast eventually becomes inconsistent. He also has to fight with Ryuji throughout the entire game, it seems, and he teases him about his education, his strength, and mental abilities. But the one moment Ryuji decides to fight back, he throws a pissy fit and leaves the party. He likes to help navigate in Kamoshida's palace and Madarami's palace a little bit, but after Makoto joins the party, he pretty much just gives up on that, I guess. He pretty much just gives up on that and giving that role to our totally not leader Makoto. It gets worse when Futaba legit becomes the navigator. So he's only useful as a goddamn healing tank. But okay, fine, I will say it. The go to sleep shit is so annoying as hell. Why does Morgana think he's in control of her life? Can he not Can we not think or do things completely on our own? Like, yeah, don't stay all the way up to 4 a.m. on a school night. Morgana won't let us go outside because we gotta rest up for literally no reason. Royal does fix this issue a lot with the game allowing you to do things within LeBlanc basically every day. But most time, you can't leave LeBlanc because you must be too tired. How am I too tired to go outside, but not tired enough to go do homework, clean a cafe, play video games, or even train? Fuck you, Morgana. Can you believe that I'm not even done yet? He loves On. He loves On so much that he simps for her at every chance he gets. It bothers me that nobody ever calls out Morgana on his love for On. He constantly calls her Lady On and nobody thinks that's creepy?
That girl's name is On Takamaki, right? Lady On.
This is a bit tight in the chest. Did they get bigger again?
Huh? Speak up, Panther! That sounds like vital information.
Lady On! Spare coochie? Spare coochie, Lady On?
On is experienced with being lusted over, but how does she never tell Morgana to cut it out or let him down easy? It's so damn weird and cringy. He also loves to constantly regurgitate information that's already been thrown at the player. For instance, at Madarame's palace, you can hear the thoughts of Madarame and hear how corrupted he really is. Morgana will go well out of his way to explain what was just told to us. It's black and white. He makes it. Oh my god. Morgana isn't the only one guilty of doing this, but he does it the most. He constantly needs to remind us and tell us information that we already know. It's so goddamn unnecessary. Does Atlas think that their players are fucking retarded? I mean, they must if they think they're gonna charge this much on useless DLC, but that's for another time. Morgana loves sushi. That's something, right? That's a character trait, isn't it? It's a personality. He can turn into a van in the metaverse. That's useful. Vroom vroom, I guess. He has the best healing moves for battles. That's useful. What else can he do? He can... Yeah. I don't understand why we even bother with Morgana in our party. He's literally no use to us. Yes, he can turn to a card in the metaverse. That's extremely useful. Other than that, we have no reason to keep him around. He's a garbage friend. His only reason for going to the metaverse is to uncover who he truly is, which doesn't even concern the main cast, to be honest. I hate this little bastard. Morgana is the character in Persona games that only exists for the protagonist. The other two I like to point out are Aigis from Persona 3 and Teddy from Persona 4. These are the standout characters that will do everything they can to help mainly the protagonist and the team they are leading. The problem with Morgana is that Aigis and Teddy have actual fucking character. Aigis is just a robot who obeys orders, but she has a very strong affinity towards the protagonist of Persona 3. Let's just call him Minato for a second, because why not? What else should I call him? Dorkun? Aigis does strange things during the game, only due to her not really having any social skills. She loves Minato a lot. She would even break into his dorm when he's sleeping to make sure he's doing okay. She is very polite and can even translate dogs. She warns Minato and the C's team of threats she is unsure of. Aigis wants to be like the team, more human-like. Of course, I won't spoil Persona 3, but she really only gets better from there. Teddy is also a very interesting character because he isn't even remotely human at all. He is very naive and pure of heart. Like Aigis, he doesn't fully understand social customs as well. But also like Aigis, he appreciates the protagonist, whom we shall call Chad Narukami, because I have to make that shit jokes at least once, right? Teddy is scared of the shadows at the beginning of Persona 4, but as the game evolves, he becomes more confident and strong. What makes Teddy great is that he isn't just a cute, fluffy, naive bear. He also has a lot of feelings too. He can be depressed as well, and he's very confused on life. Teddy has a lot of character behind him. What the fuck does Morgana have? He's a stuck-up, know-it-all, little bitch baby who can't handle the heat despite being in the kitchen. He wants to be the cool hero that everyone looks up to, but he gets constantly angry at his teammate and simps for a girl who doesn't even have a goddamn character! Morgana is an absolute train wreck of a character, and I never want to see this little monster cat again after this video. Okay. I have to calm down. What about the protagonist himself? Do I have anything wrong with him? Kind of. Here's the thing about him. He's supposed to be a silent protagonist. Despite that, he still talks during battles and sometimes will say a word or two throughout the game. Did you know that there is over 7 minutes of dialogue recorded from him? Holy hell, why did they record all these lines when like 90% of them cannot even be heard in the game? I hate silent protagonists so much. This is just me, but I find it so weird that games like Half-Life 2, Portal 2, Skyrim, and even Legend of Zelda have protagonists that don't say a single word throughout the entire game. It stuns me how these games can go forwards with side characters constantly talking to you and just sit there like a Windows XP computer loading. One thing I always hated is with multiple choice options in a game, because most of the time it doesn't matter what you choose. It really doesn't. The game will still be the same no matter what. That doesn't mean it has to be like Telltale games where everything you say will matter in the end. I just don't understand why you have to choose to say something when everything will still go on the same. Like, it's the illusion of freedom of choice. You can be the nicest guy to your friends, or you can be the meanest piece of shit to all of them, but they will still stick by your side and consider you to be the greatest guy on the entire planet. It's just so very unnatural, but whatever. Overall, I like the Phantom Thieves, but when you start to pick them apart, oh my god, there's so many bad things. Compared to the Seize team and the Investigation team, Phantom Thieves kinda suck. I really like characters like Yusuke and Ryuji, but the other team members from Persona 3 and 4 are just so much better though. Junpei Iori? Yes please. Friendship over with Ryuji, now Junpei is my best friend. Chi and Kanji, I need that. Rize? Okay. Maybe not. I'm good without her. Now that our main characters are out of the way, let's discuss the villains, because the main villain of Persona 5 Royal is something... This is really something else. I loved Kamoshida. He was such a piece of shit. I hated him. That's exactly how you're supposed to feel about him. He's such a goddamn great villain in the game, which leaves a very strong first impression of this game. What was great about Kamoshida's palace that everything just made sense. The castle is supposed to be the school. Some areas represent actual areas in the school. That's incredible. One of my least favorite parts that made me so angry was the segment of the cathedral area where you would get surrounded by enemies, and it was a major pain in the ass. Thank God Royal fixed it where you just grapple hook out of there. Speaking of enemies, the enemy shadows represent actual medieval themes, so you get really immersed in the whole idea that you're in a castle. The story that happens throughout Kamoshida's palace is also pretty good as well, because this is where the game introduced its main ideas and concepts. And it sounds so fun. I mean, we get to be a badass group of thieves who get to change evil people's hearts through a reality that nobody can access except us. Badass. The boss battle with Kamoshida as well is great because it isn't overly complicated and it teaches you how to prepare yourself for big future battles. What a solid start to the game. It just sucks that the rest of the villains from here drastically fall off the deep end. Madarame is up next, and also introduces us to Best Boy Yusuke. We first learn of Madarame's evil intentions through our first Mementos request. They eventually do investigate Madarame, but only because of Yusuke. Another thing that's dumb is that is one of the key words to get inside Madarame's palace, is plagiarism. The key word is plagiarism, but for some goddamn reason, it takes a while for the Phantom Thieves to discover that Madarame is actually indeed plagiarizing. Wow, what a goddamn shocker. In the middle of the palace, we get stopped right here by this big laser grid, and the only way to get past it is to open this door to Madarame's actual house. The only way we can get inside of it is for having on model for Yusuke. Yusuke, however, wants On to model nude, so he can make a defying nude portrait. On doesn't really want to go through with it, but the party members say she has to. She agrees reluctantly, but this pisses me off because didn't we legit just fight a guy who forced himself upon On sexually? Her whole character trait in the first act is not be a sex object or just a sex icon, but I guess we'll just ignore that for this mission in particular. Madarame's palace is actually quite beautiful, and the themes of enemies and the music just fit so well with the traditional Japanese art style. The boss battle of Madarame is pretty annoying as well, but I mean, it's better in Royal than it was in the previous game. But if you grind enough levels and moves, you can go through this new battle with pretty much no headaches at all. The original Persona 5's battle was this god-awful. Thank God that's not there anymore. Kaneshiro. Oh my god, what a disappointment. What I don't understand is how all this even happened. So there's a mafia situation going around Shibuya? Yeah, there you go. And some Shujin students are getting caught up in it, giving the school an even worse reputation after Kamoshida. The school principal wanted Makoto to figure out who is the mafia leader, or else he will not recommend her to a college of her choice. What the f***? How is a young female like Makoto supposed to crack down on a underground mafia operation when apparently the city's own police force can't even find the leader himself? What is anyone playing this game supposed to believe this is an actual situation that can happen? We eventually get to keywords we need to get inside the palace. Kaneshiro's palace is the entirety of Shibuya, so they can just warp anywhere they want. Where do they warp from? A very big busy park. Are you serious? But no, hey, it's okay. Ryuji said it best himself. Nobody notices if a piece of trash disappears from a trash can. What the f does this mean? We are people. Tall, beautiful, living people. Okay, so Kanashiro's palace is a flying bank. So what sucks about it is that the theming of the palace doesn't really match as well before. The shadows you fight are kind of all over the place. One issue I have with the palace is how Makoto acts. Makoto is the absolute worst part of this segment in the game. She's now the brains of the operation, but I like to debate that. She says some things that are so obvious that a rock that's been sitting out in the Nevada desert for 700 years could figure it out. She tells us things that the player could have figured out, but the game treats it again like it's a revolution. The party members cannot be this dumb. Here's an example for you. If my deductions are correct, this should be the last mechanism. Wow! No shit, Sherlock! How did you even figure this one out? Clearly, we didn't see the actual vault segment in the elevator. All hail the queen! I just realized I went over this entire segment without even talking about Kanashiro himself that much. Okay, fine. He's a weak standard villain. I don't understand his shadow outfit. Kamoshida looked like a king. Monorame looked like a powerful Japanese figure, like a shogun or something. I don't know what Kanashiro is. He has a stupid mustache on him and he's blue. What does that mean? The boss battle here is also one of the easiest fights in the entire game. Not much to go on about. Okay, how far are we? Holy shit. Futaba is up next. A bit different from the others, but holy hell, this is one of the most broken segments in the entire game. So Futaba wants us to change her heart so she can let go of the pain of the death of her mother, who she's convinced was the reason she died. Futaba's palace is a massive desert that takes place in this pyramid. What is really weird is us first entering this palace. We come in wearing our normal clothes instead of our metaverse outfits. We don't wear these outfits right now because the palace ruler doesn't see us as a threat. Morgana explicitly says at the beginning of the game that we wear these outfits to protect us from distortions. So what's the point of being protected from distortions if you could theoretically go throughout the entire palace without pissing off the ruler and stealing their treasure? Which is something we never do, by the way, because of plot. Let's pause for a second because seriously, the whole outfit system makes no sense. You can have the cast wear these ridiculous outfits throughout the palace. Makoto can wear his swimsuit, but she won't say anything or even do anything about it. Even when the palace ruler sees it as a threat, they will still wear the same outfit you gave them. What the hell happened to protecting us against distortions? Just another beautiful inconsistency, I guess. Back to the stupid ass pyramid. Shadow Futaba sometimes helps us and also messes around with us. We finally get to the end where Futaba herself is in the final battle with a giant sphinx thing with the head of Futaba's mom, named Wakaba. We see Futaba occasionally in the real world having breakdowns due to the trauma, but now I guess Futaba is able to go to the metaverse and go inside her own palace, which is possible, I guess. The rules state that Persona users cannot have a palace because the writers say so, but Futaba just waltzed on in. Shadow Futaba then comes to the real world and tells Futaba that she's been wrong. This makes absolutely no sense, because Futaba is so convinced that she killed her mom. That should mean that Shadow Futaba should be even more broken mess because shadows reflect the actual person. So, wait, I'm so lost. So shouldn't Shadow Futaba be like even worse than actual Futaba? But Shadow Futaba knows the truth? What? Futaba finally grasps the truth that she didn't kill her mom, and that these people in mysterious black suits did cause her death. She wakes in her persona and helps you kill the Sphinx monster. We eventually do defeat the Sphinx monster, and we see a vision ghost thingy of her mom. What is this? Who cares? Who cares at this point? Okay, so the palace starts to crumble apart despite us not grabbing the treasure. So the game decides to make the wonderful decision of having Futaba herself be the treasure.
Futaba herself was the treasure, and she's gone, so of course it's empty.
If Futaba herself was the treasure, what would have happened if she never came to the metaverse? They would have defeated the Sphinx monster thing and be so confused. Like, was there going to be nothing inside that sarcophagus? Was there going to be a second Futaba inside the coffin? What's the point of having the damn calling card then? Futaba herself was the treasure and she awakened to her persona and she is now convinced she didn't kill her mom. What is the point of having the Sphinx monster mom boss battle? We could have just... Oh, what is the point of having the Sphinx mom monster battle? We could have just got up and just left. Oh my god. I'm so confused. What is the point of this entire segment if Futaba herself was the treasure? This makes zero sense. This Futaba's palace could have been cool, but it's just so broken. Let's move on. Okay, this next palace can be bad. God damn it. Okay, so I hate the palace. I hate everything about the palace. It's nothing but lame music, lame puzzles, lame story, lame hallways. I mean, at least Royal removed a lot of the hallways, but it feels so boring to go through. I'm so goddamn angry with this game. This game sucks. The palace is in space, apparently. Why? Wait, oh. Why is this in space? So we target Okumura and his #1 icon is Big Bang Burger. And he talks about his rise into politics. Is that it? Wait, what? Okay, so not to mention, the only way they find this out is Futaba tells them the keywords. We never find out how she figures out or how she did this. It's okay, guys. Writing an actual story is hard. Okay, so like the shadows here are robots, and Makoto, with her Rick and Morty level IQs, deduces that the robots must be the workers of Okumura Foods. Oh my god, no fucking shit. I hate you. Symbolism just doesn't exist in this world anymore. Everything must be apparent. Everything must be told to you. Must be slapped you in the face. Okay, so the shadows here make no sense at all and don't fit the space theme. The Okumura boss fight was honestly one of the most irritating battles I've ever been in for a very long time. Persona 5 Royal decided to make it much, much worse. So here's how the battle works in Persona 5, right? The entire station is going to blow up because why not? And Okumura is going to escape once he finishes off. We have a solid 30 minutes to defeat Okumura and escape the palace. So what you did before is you defeat all these waves of robots, and then you have to defeat Okumura himself. Well, in Royal, everything is very annoying. Okumura will still send the waves of robots for you to defeat like before. However, if you do not defeat every single robot within 2 turns, they will go away and you have to face them all over again. I hope you have plenty of SP healing items and buffs for everyone, because you're gonna need a truckload of them. You have to do this for every single wave. What is even more strange is that if you manage to knock down all the robots in front of you, you can't even do an all-out attack. What? I can do all-out attacks anywhere else in the game except in the one fight where I have to defeat enemies in front of me for a 2-turn limit. What the f were they thinking? We also have to defeat this robot version of Haru, and that makes Haru sad or whatever. But yeah, we defeat Okumura, blah blah blah. Okumura gets shot. Let's move on. We have to deal with Sai Nijima next. This palace design is actually really good. Finally, some good design. It's incredible eye candy. One thing I absolutely hate here is the music. A lot of people seem to love Whims of Fate, but I despise it. It's a long palace. You're going to be hearing that song a lot. It wouldn't be that bad if it didn't have lyrics, but you just hear the same words again and again and again and again. I'm sick of this song. The shadows in this palace make good sense. There are a lot of female-centric shadows giving the impression of strong women. Of course, this represents Sai's stance on feminism and being a strong woman in a male-dominated world, as she once said. This place takes a while to get through, but I'm very happy to say this isn't a copy-and-paste hallway trash. But throughout the palace, you can go through different puzzles and encounters in the end. There's this battle area, the dark maze, the slots, the rigged gambling, and more. This was fun to go through, but once you had to go through these back hallways, corridor places, it just really is boring. Sai's boss battle was also kind of cool as well, but it felt really short. There was actually quite an interesting gimmick, but of course it just got tossed out fast and it's turned to hit it into a dies battle. Cool palace, bro. Cool palace. Goro Akechi is the big metaverse murderer we've been hearing throughout the game. So the gang knows that Akechi is doing things in the metaverse because he can understand Morgana saying the oh so funny pancakes line. Now, here's the thing about the scene. If you would have paid just a little bit of attention to the scene, you would have realized that Akechi understood Morgana and him saying pancakes. That means Akechi has been in the metaverse, despite this game's rules on who can understand Morgana not make sense at all. At one point, they say that if you hear Morgana in the metaverse, then you hear Morgana in real life. Akechi has never been around Morgana in the metaverse into Sai's palace. So how does he understand Morgana? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. You would have realized that Akechi has been inside the metaverse. You would have gone through all these palaces with the realization that Akechi is most likely the black masked individual first teased by Monorame. Things get even more obvious when Akechi first enters the metaverse with the Phantom Thieves, and nobody ever bothers to bring up the fact that Akechi is already awakened to his persona and has changed into his metaverse outfit. I understand they already know that he's the bad guy, but the player doesn't know that right now. So what the hell? Eventually, when a moment comes to have Akechi become the bad guy, it literally has no weight behind it because you saw this coming months ago. Shido is next. He has been pulling all the strings along throughout the entire game, so this will be the big confrontation we've all been waiting for. This palace is a ship, and it looks really, really cool. Too bad it's mostly goddamn hallways again. But wait, it's interesting, I promise, because here's why. Sometimes you get to turn into a mouse. This makes puzzles cool, right? Not really. I was bored. It may not have been that bad if we didn't have to do this hallway mouse bullshit. Every time we needed to get a letter to get to Shido's treasure, we need to get 5 letters of recommendation to enter the main chamber where the treasure. Each letter is held by a major head that Shido is affiliated with, and we need to convince them to give us one. We go fight him, he gives us some lore dump, we get a letter, we move on. The next guy is weird though. We try to talk to him, but he won't budge. And the only way we get to him to acknowledge us is by having the females in the group dress up in swimsuits to talk to him. Again, this breaks the whole idea of this protects us from distortions bullshit again. I mean, Shido sees us as a threat, yet we can just change to swimsuits? Okay, wait a second. So this gets even more confusing. They can just take off their outfits and mask and just wear other outfits? I know this game has costumes that you can wear from DLC and whatnot, but these guys are just walking around in swimming suits. Why can't this game just be consistent with its very simple rules? So yeah, On talks to him, pretends to be royalty, and apparently that just works, I guess. This guy's really dumb. We get the letter without having to fight the guy. But guess what? We just make a battle happen anyways. Why? We didn't need to fight. This guy was trying to just actually harass On, so the entire group came out to end it. But did we really need to fight him? We defeat the old man. He gives us a lore dump. We already have the damn letter. We move on. We meet the third guy. This guy only gives a letter to executive people on TV or whatever. So Haru goes up to him and talks to him, acknowledging that she is part of the Okumura of dynasty or whatever. She gives her a letter. Okay, great. There should be no reason to fight, right? The man proceeds to talk shit on Haru's dad though, and of course Haru will get mad. It's a fresh win for her, so of course she would get upset. But guess what? We fight him! Oh my god, okay. So I understand that you would get upset over this, but why can't you just walk away? This isn't a real person, it's just a cognition. We fight him, he gives us a lore dump, this time making a connection to both Kaneshiro and Madarame because everything has to be connected. Oh my god, we move on. Before we go to the fourth person, we see Akechi on TV talking to a crowd like usual. For some reason, this is the only moment they decide to give Akechi some actual character and backstory. I guess he just uses the world to have an eternal monologue about how he was sad and alone as a child. So this is why he is today. This game just shovels in this building up of a character because something big will happen to Akechi in just a few short moments anyways. So yeah, okay, whatever. The fourth person won't leave his room, so we have to break in through an open door. Futaba goes in to get the letter since he is an IT president, something that is, of course, up her alley. He gets aggravated because Futaba shit talks the way he does things, and of course, this causes another battle. Really? Why? We battle him, defeat him, get another lore dump, get the letter, and move on. We face the last guy, and holy shit, this is the worst offense yet. We face this major guy in the Japanese Yakuza, and we need a letter from him. Since he likes tattoos, On suggests that Yusuke makes a design for him. Yusuke then draws something, and he loves it. He offers Yusuke to be his personal tattoo artist, and he gives us a letter. Yusuke then declines, and goes on about how art is great and everything. And then, would you believe I told you that a battle begins? Okay, f*** off. Yusuke should have a f***ing brain and realize that he isn't real! I love you, Yusuke, but how the hell does no one on this entire team have more than half a f***ing brain cell? This is ridiculous. Of course, we beat him. This time there isn't a huge lore dump, thank God, and we move on. Did you see a pattern there? Jesus Christ! Before we get to the main chamber to see the treasure, we have one last encounter with Akechi. Let me tell you, things just keep going downhill from here, folks. Akechi reveals that he does not give a shit about Shido. He plans on killing Shido and moving on in the world. We enter a fight where Akechi reveals a power that can make a shadow go berserk, being even more powerful than ever before. For some reason in Royal, this doesn't really get utilized as much as it did in the previous game. I don't know why they changed that, but okay, fine, whatever. Makoto, with her super duper Rick and Morty Reddit IQ, she deduces that you're the one behind the mental shutdowns all along. Are you f***ing serious? They already knew this since June! They knew that he was the killer! They knew Akechi was the bad guy! Why is everyone so surprised? I don't get it! After a big battle with him, we ask him to join us! What? What? Okay, no. This segment is shit. Cognition Akechi shows up and threatens to kill us and Akechi. So Akechi saves us by separating us with a big gate. We hear gunfire and then silence. Everyone is just so sad that Akechi is dead, even though he was a very, very, very bad guy. He was a serial killer, not a broken little child. Can we just get back to Shido, please? The setting of the calling card is one of the best segments in the entire game. It was pretty cool, I will not lie. Finally, we get to fight Shido. This battle is segmented into 3 battles, so it's a big pain in the ass. The first battle is where he turns to a big military-looking guy and rides a golden lion made of people. So after the lion segment, and turns into a pyramid. Okay. After that, he turns into goddamn Bane. But then after that segment, he turns into Red Bane. This battle's kind of lame because there's no gimmicks or ways to end the fight sooner. I guess that's fine, but it just gets really boring when it's always the hit it until it dies. The battle eventually finishes, and we take the treasure and go. More story go on, but I just want to get this over with. So Shido was the last palace in the base game, but now we have to race the metaverse by stealing the treasure in mementos. This isn't really that bad. I just kind of hated how simple the floor tile puzzles were, because I swear to God, a second grader could solve these. Shadows here don't have a theme, but I guess I'll allow it, because just this once, I guess, whatever. Who cares anymore? There's no themes anymore. One horrendous bad thing does happen here, however. We get to a room where we encounter all the previous palace rulers in a big cell room. There's Kamoshida, Monarame, Kaneshiro, and Shido are all in together. Why are all these people by each other? Who knows? I thought this was a major jail cell thing. Okay, whatever. Okay. Shido's talking about how great it is to be locked up in here because it's the ultimate freedom not to think and choose on their own free will. The entire team thinks about this idea, except Makoto, the big brain she is, claims that having the freedom to not make your own decisions only mean that someone else is controlling you. Isn't this what the Phantom Thieves have been doing the entire time? Whenever they see someone they want to change, they make it so that they force their entire willpower to confess their crimes. This is the moment that the team should have thought and really think about what they've been doing for the past couple of months. Even Yusuke starts to think out loud about what they've been doing is right. But Joker cut his thinking off and just says, oh, God damn it! Throughout the entire game, they have moments where they think about what they are doing is right, but it always ends in the same. No, we are on the side of justice. We are the real good guys. The game constantly tries to make this an actual question to be discussed and should be an actual discord within the group, but it never does. They always agree that what they are doing is the right thing, and they just move on. Oh my God! This is the holy grail. It's basically controlling reality and the free will of every citizen in Japan. Now let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Is mementos just a Japan thing? Could I, a young adult living in a goddamn dirt Kansas, become a Persona user as well? Is mementos a worldwide thing? If I could access the metaverse in actual real life, could I go to mementos right here in America? We are at the very core of mementos, meaning that this is where it all ends. The Phantom Thieves are a worldwide thing, something that's been confirmed that when we were in Hawaii. But you know, I guess that would have required the writers to actually think, and I know, guys, that can be hard sometimes. The Holy Grail battle is pretty dumb because it's one of those battles in video games that you just can't win. I don't see the point of having a battle at all if it's just going to waste my SP and items. And it can regenerate health all at once. So what was even the point of even battling it? Why couldn't this just been a cutscene or something? Eventually we can fight it legitimately, but even still, it doesn't get defeated. There's just no point to these. It makes me mad that I have to waste my time and my items. Alright, let's just keep going. We're almost there to the new content. So this is the Klytoth world. So mementos and reality have merged together. Now we have to finish the God in Control, Yaldabaoth. We got to go up this huge staircase to fight more shadows. One thing I will give Persona 5 is I like that they have a good theme here for this final segment. The shadows here are based on religious figures, so the shadows here look more humanoid. Most of the time. We finally reach the top of the stairs to fight the Holy Grail once more. It's a boss battle with the gimmick of having to waste turns. The game lets you send someone out to stop the villain from cheating. Thank God this is the last time it does this. After defeating the Holy Grail, it transforms into this big mega beast, Yaldabaoth. I loved this final battle. The music kicks ass. Not to mention, I loved the gimmick. The whole idea of the 7 deadly sins. Yes, I loved it. Thumbs up, man. I was actually surprised how much I actually enjoyed this final battle. Not to mention,
pillage him. Satanayo! Be gone.
Preposterous! You dare on the people's wishes!
Fuck yeah, that was cool. This was an awesome scene. This was amazing. Great way to end the game, guys. Too bad Royal just fucking trashed it. So here's the deal with the new story. It feels extremely out of place, and it feels foreign. It's not good. It's not funny. I felt no emotions from it. So the beginning part of the new content revolves around you and your friends entering a new reality where all their wishes come true. But then you have to tell your friends that, hey, this isn't right. Now here's the thing. This wouldn't sound all that bad, right? But here's the thing. It takes multiple days to get to them all. Like, it seriously takes an entire day to talk to Ryuji once for 3 minutes. I can't spend the evening with any of my confidants. Nope, just talking to my friends and wasting actual precious time that I can use for my confidants. It gets worse when you have to talk to them all over again to do true awakenings. So if you reach max ranks with their confidants, you have to talk to them again to truly awaken their personas. The whole idea of our friends being a new reality sucks a lot because it ruins the entire confidant ranking stories. The fact that what they truly wanted is what they were fighting against in their confidant stories. For instance, Ryuji. Ryuji wanted to get away from all the troubles of the track team in what Kamoshida did. You do so in the final rank, and Ryuji's just good to go. Ryuji Maruki's reality is now part of the track team again, and he feels so happy. This makes no sense, because the track team does come back in Ryuji's story, and he legit declines an offer to join again. If it is his ultimate wish to be part of the team again, why would you even decline it in the first place? An wants to break free from her struggles as a model and looks to Shiho for strength. At the end of the story, she's a much better model and starts to gather strength from herself and the Phantom Thieves by her side. In Maruki's reality, An always has Shiho by her side and she will never leave her. It just gets worse, trust me. This next one is a terrible, terrible offense. Yusuke. Yusuke wants to break free from Madarame's shadow and a bad legacy from him so he can blossom into his own independent artist. In Maruki's reality, he is Madarame's student once again, and they're just the greatest pals ever. Why would you do this? Why? The fact that you, the player, worked so hard to get these guys out of those holes, out of those struggles, just for them to throw it all the way for Maruki is disgusting. Remember earlier in the story when we saw this scene? Yeah, I want to know whose brilliant idea it was to full-on spoil the big twist of the final palace in the game. The only reason this sequence even exists is so they can have the oh-so-cool and badass moment with Samiri in the beginning of the game. This was an extremely piss-poor choice. I would have legit not seen the Maruki twist coming if it wasn't for this goddamn stupid scene. Let's just be glad that Maruki's a good villain, I guess, but I don't understand how he could change so many people's realities. It's shown that not everyone is living in this new reality. So what exactly are they seeing? Let's take for example Futaba and her mother. Wakaba comes back to life and both Futaba and Sojiro are living very happy together. Let's say those three go somewhere and encounter people who aren't under Maruki's influence. What do they see? Do they see Futaba and Sojiro talking to an empty space? What about cars? Can Wakaba drive a car? Does he have a job? What about Mr. Okumura? Does he still run Okumura Foods? Is the company still a shitty workspace? Oh my god, this brings in even more questions. Maruki's motive is to have people live a life free of pain and trauma, so he can alter a person's realities to their heart content. Haru wanted her dad back, so he gave her Mr. Okumura back from the dead. What does this mean later on in life? Is Mr. Okumura immortal? Will nobody ever die or get in an accident throughout the entirety of Haru's life? Mr. Okumura can't die because that would cause sadness and trauma to Haru. So what will happen in the future? I am so confused. There are so many questions that get asked if some people are not in this alternate reality. What does Maruki do to the outsiders? And do not ever give me the bullshit of, oh, you're not supposed to think too hard about it, or you're not supposed to think this far. Bullshit! No! Alright? And Dr. Maruki is not a good final boss. This was one of the worst final bosses I've ever faced in a video game before, and I'm not kidding. I'm in shock that Yaldabaoth is still in this game and isn't a final boss when he's very clearly supposed to be. This is where Persona 5 was always meant to end, and I felt so damn off when the game just continued on. Let's discuss why I hate this final boss. It's very scripted. There's not one, not two, not three, but 4 different segments to this fight. Segment 1 is one of the worst boss fights that I've ever had to partake in. Not because it's overly difficult or because it's too easy. It's cheap. It's extremely cheap. You have to defeat these tentacle thingies, and they have resistances, weaknesses that you have to use to take down. You cannot attack Maruki until all of these tentacles are down. Once they are down, you have 1 turn to attack Maruki, and this big slimy boy behind them. Once that turn is over, Maruki can have up to 6 turns to attack you and regrow all the tentacles. This can go on for over an hour. It doesn't help that the music is terrible, because guess what? You will be listening to that song a lot. Once you figure out the tentacle's weaknesses, it gets better, but it's just so cheap and awful how Maruki can just fuck you up so easily and regrow the tentacles this fast. I hope you have a lot of SP healing items. You're going to be needing them a lot. Once you finally defeat this guy, Maruki summons Adam Kadmon. Great name, by the way. And this isn't as bullshit the last round. This segment I hate because you can't win. You have to make Maruki lose all of his health, but the game decides that it just isn't over yet. You have to fight Adam Cadmon again, but it has super shields or something because you can't defeat it. That's totally cool. But eventually Futaba discovers a way to defeat it because of course she can. She's Futaba. She knows everything, doesn't she? You jump up and shoot its head, and I guess that small little pistol is enough to defeat it. Hey, remember when you fought Yaldabaoth and summoned that giant persona and you shot its head too? That would have been a lot cooler to see it again, but whatever. After some cutscenes, you start just punching each other, I guess. It's supposed to be emotional and sad, but I was just laughing my ass off because of how silly it was. You do defeat him and other stuff happens, but god damn it, this segment was stupid. Would you believe me if I told you that the game gets worse after this? God, the story in this game is just so damn strange. There are some good things and some absolutely horrendous things. Some of the game's worst writing comes from the confidant stories you have to go through. Here's one story that really bothered me. Futaba has a horrible backstory. This is in the sense of actual bad story writing. So Futaba's story revolves around her finally leaving the room and rejoining society. Futaba and her mom used to have a list of things to do together. Her mom is now gone, of course, so she wants to finish the list with Akira. As the story goes on, we learn more about a past best friend she had named Kana, who was very close to her. All that came crashing and burning because one day she discovered through a dropped journal of Kana's that reveals her parents are very bad people. There are comments of sexual abuse and being told to wear very strange outfits and costumes and have photos taken of her. These are very serious crimes to deal with and extremely traumatizing events for a kid. Futaba continues to investigate Kana and discovers online that the abuse is still happening to this day due to gambling problems or whatever, so they want more money. How does Akira and Futaba solve this problem? They go to Mementos and steal the parents' hearts and everything will be better again. Holy shit. Oh my god. Hold on. Let's get into this. Okay. Yes, the abuse stopped and they would turn themselves in, but this does not cure any mental scarring, PTSD, or any of the bad stuff that happens. So Futaba does reconnect with Kana again and claims that she is going to live a normal life. She has a job at a convenience store and has money to take a high school entrance exam. Let's pause right there. Now, I'm not a sexual abuse victim, and I'm very glad not to be one, but I cannot say the same for a lot of other people. I personally know some sexual assault victims, and I asked them how they felt about how the game treated this. Needless to say, they were not happy at all. How can the game say that everything is all good in the neighborhood? There is no normal life after that. Having your parents sexually abuse you and do 6 things for their pleasure and wealth will mess with your mind for the rest of your life. It really makes me sick that Atlas can think they can sit here, write that, and say, yeah, let's give that a thumbs up. Put that in the game. I'm no professional writer, but even I would never, ever carelessly miswrite something as huge and as important as this. This is one of the examples of Atlas just not being able to handle very, very mature situations. Another bad story in this game is Chihaya's fortune teller girl. The story in itself isn't that bad, but it just drags and it's so boring and it takes forever to actually learn anything about her. You have to spend 100,000 yen to begin the confidant story with her, which can take a while to gather up if you're not grinding a lot in mementos and selling your treasure at EY's shop. When you finally get started with this, it takes forever to even learn who I can't say her name. Chihaya. It takes forever to even learn who Chihaya was or even is. Even after rank 5, you barely know her. So here's the thing about the confidant rings, right? It can take forever to get to rank 10. You have to choose the right responses to rank them up. Sometimes the responses that seem completely reasonable and correct won't get your rank any closer. The story continues and learn more about her past with the organization and involves you having to go to mementos, beat up a bad guy that is ruining your life. Yay. The story seems to be a story that wants you to remember and learn something from, but it's just so sloppy and boring. Not to mention her rankings are not even useful at all. She has one of the biggest wastes of time in the entire game. Futaba and Chihaya are 2 examples of how bad some of the stories in this game can be. There are multiple stories that you can experience in this game. Thankfully, not all of them are bad. Yusuke, Yoshida, Ryuji, and Haru have some of the best confidant stories in the entire game. They are the diamonds in the rough for sure. I like to put the spotlight on Yoshida and Haru real quick, because these two have stories that have a bad person ruining their life, and you would assume you would have to go to mementos and magically fix all their problems, but nope. You actually solve their problems in the real world and things go on normally. Why can't every confidant story be like this? Why do you have to go to mementos and magically fix all their problems in all these stories? It's so bad. You have to go to mementos every now and then for leveling up and progressing the story, but these trips to mementos is halt your progress with these people, and you can't continue their rankings until you defeat the shadows. It's not fun. The whole idea of going to mementos to fix your confidant's life magically is bullshit and it's really bad. But let's discuss everyone's favorite waifu teacher, Kawakami. Kawakami's story involves her past and how she's being blackmailed and for money because of something she clearly didn't do. After she goes to hospital for overworking herself to pay these bad people, she finally gathers the courage to say no more to this. Unfortunately, all that comes crashing down when the bad people discover that she moonlights at the maid, who also does sex work? Question mark? Is it ever really apparent that she does that? I mean, there are moments in the game where it's hinted that she will do anything for you, but would she really do something like that? Regardless, after she is blackmailed again, she loses all of her confidence, and now it's up to us to fix her life. We have to go to mementos and defeat the evil people. Great. So after that, everything's all hunky-dory for Miss Kawakami. This is terrible. This is awful. Another story like that is everyone's favorite waifu doctor, Tai. Her story is long, but once it comes to her losing all of hope in herself, we have to go to mementos and fix her life as well. These two stories and the numerous other ones are just examples of why these should not be forced into the rankings. The whole point of these confidant stories is to help each other grow into a better person and learn a lesson or two. So what lesson is me or Kawakami learning from having to go into the metaverse and fix their life? This is why I say Yusuke, Yoshida, Haru, and Ryuji has some of the best stories in the entire game, because their stories can easily be fixed by mementos bullshit. But guess what? They saw them like actual adults. We helped them in reality, and we learned something. This is what every confidant story should be like. The whole reason these memento trips are thrown in here, so players are basically forced to go down there, level up, grind out some stuff, and then we're done. They do this so that they don't have to deal with having to grind out all the floors at once in December when you are forced to be down there. Here's the thing though. Every player is going to grind out these floors after they finish a palace. There is legit no reason to. If they choose to ignore mementos for the entire game, that's just on them. The game already makes it clear that you should go down there every so often so you don't fall behind. You can clear a floor in like 10 minutes. It's so easy. There should be 0 mementos missions in these rankings. It's dumb. The life aspect of Persona 5 is actually pretty good. I will not lie. You spend the afternoon studying, you can see a movie, you can hang out with the confidant, train at the gym, eat a Big Bang Theory burger, and so many more. One thing I didn't quite understand is Sundays. On Sundays, you don't have classes, so the entire day is yours. You can do whatever you want in the daytime. But if you partake in an activity in the morning time, it skips the evening. Why not the afternoon like every other day? Why cannot be daytime, afternoon, and evening? I highly doubt if Akira goes to the movies during the daytime, he will come back at LeBlanc in the evening. So dumb. Other than that, I like the off time during palaces. Once you take a treasure from the palace, you have all the time to do whatever you want. It feels good, other than wasting time on Sundays. Let's talk about the romancing in this game, because oh boy is it something. Persona 5 is very famous for its waifu baits and who is best girl debates you see so much on Twitter. You can romance every female confidant except for the twins and Lavenza, of course, because I mean, come on, man, you're better than that. When you romance them, they become your girlfriend. You can do girlfriend things with them, like hang out with them during a day in Hawaii, the school fair, Christmas, Valentine's Day, and the new White Day in Royal. Now, why am I discussing this? Well, it's because the romancing in this game is extremely unrealistic and odd. The scenes where you get to decide whether or not you want to date them can really be strange. A lot of times they make it very clear they want to date you, but if you say no, they'll take it like absolutely nothing happened. They'll just move on, never to be brought up again. Sumeri legit says I love you during the scene. If you say no, she'll just take it like it means nothing. What? That makes no sense at all. You literally just said you loved me, but I guess being friend-zoned isn't that bad after all. They pour their heart out about how much you mean to them, and they need you to live. But if you tell them no, they just completely blank out and forget that they were even in love with you. Most of the time, thankfully, you are in control of whether you want to date them or not. They don't bring it up, so whether you date them or not, the answer will make sense. For example, An does not make it obvious how she loves you, but she has a void in her heart that Shiho is leaving behind. You can fill that void by being her boyfriend, of course. If you tell her that you love her, or that she'll always have the Phantom Thieves, she will still be the same An, because she has never expressed romantic feelings towards you. One of the worst examples of this is Futaba. She tells you that she is literally incapable of being without you, and she constantly needs you by her side in her life. Futaba makes it extremely obvious that if you do not stay by her side or be in her life, she just cannot function at all. When the moment comes to either date or friend zone, things can get really messy. If you date her, then it's nirvana for her, because the one thing she desperately wanted has come true. But if you say that we're just teammates, however, you would think that she would just break down or run away to be alone. But nope, she just stands up and accepts it. Of course, teammates are always supposed to be nice to each other. What? Futaba is supposed to be the mentally unstable and childish one out of the entire group, and she has made it very clear that she would basically die without you. So why is she just so okay with her dream not becoming reality? Nobody in the game gets actually hurt if you decline them, except for actually one person, and this person will surprise you. The one person who actually seems hurt is Haru. If you romance her, everything's fantastic, right? But if you turn her down, she is visibly hurt. She legit needs you to leave the house. This is how people should act. Love is not something that can be played around with or just discarded when they reject you. It is a very tricky human emotion, and this game treats it like it's fucking allergies or something, and that can just be wished away. Why is Haru the only character that gets upset when the other characters like Honor Futaba, who have actual abandonment issues, by the way, do not get upset at all? What's even more strange is that no matter who you date, nothing in the world changes. You have special scenes in the aforementioned parts of the game, but nothing about that character changes if you date them. Let's just say you date An, for example. An will not be any different outside the main story if you are romancing her. The only time she is different is in these special scenes. Could the developers not have made a scene where the cast reveals they are dating? I would have loved this. There should have been a scene where you and An bring the group together and you tell them that you are now a couple. This would have brought more scenes that the game desperately needed, when they aren't shown about this worrying with the main situation or whatever their confidant story is. Just a group of friends coming together to congratulate their newfound happiness. Also, see Morgana crush seeing the protagonist date the girl he sent forward for the entire game would have been a treat as well. Romancing is great and all, but the game treats it like it's nothing. Dating is something that is so tremendous and one of the greatest experiences you can experience in life. Persona 5 just treats it as just a cool thing you can partake in. Let's take my virtual girlfriends into consideration here. No matter who you date, when you hang out with them, they'll just tell you how grateful they are for you being in their life. If that's the case, why do we only hang out with them when the game decides we can? That is a major issue I have with the life, and you could go weeks without talking or seeing your girlfriend. What the kind of relationship is that? You can only see them when they are available during their chosen days. I understand that not everyone can be constantly available every day, but they are absent a lot. Like, yeah, Samiria has gymnastics, so we can't hang out with her sometime during the day. If you want to date your waifu in Persona 5, the game should force you to do things with them. Like, you have options to hang out with them on special days, but you can choose not to. Why is this even an option? If we can go the entire game without hanging out with my girlfriend, what's the point of even having one? This game has no spine. It has no balls. Wondering why? This game is too afraid to take risk. Let's point out a segment that made me really, really hate the game. This moment is Ryuji's fake death, and Morgana's fake death too. When we finish Shido's palace, the palace starts to fall apart as it usually does, and we finally steal the treasure from the ruler. We get outside, and the ship is starting to sink. So we need to get to the lifeboats. We can't reach them in time, so Ryuji volunteers to release the lifeboats because he is fast enough to get there in time. Ryuji starts running, and he does get to the boats. He gets there, and he releases them, and everybody gets in. Ryuji decides to dangle there and gives a thumbs up for no reason, I guess. And then boom! Explosion! Ryuji is dead. Holy crap! Everyone comes back. Of course, they mourn Ryuji, but 30 seconds later, he just comes back. This is where everything goes wrong. So Ryuji claims that he was just blasted out of the metaverse. Is that a thing that can happen? I'm pretty sure Morgana said at one point that you can only leave the metaverse the same place you've entered. That's why every single palace, you can only return to the real world at this entrance area. But that doesn't make sense either, because each time the palace falls apart, we do not leave the same place we came in. And back to Ryuji, there is no way that you can just be blasted out of the metaverse. Regardless of this, everyone starts getting pissed off at Ryuji because he didn't die. They legit beat him up and leave him knocked out by a light post and just walk away. What the fuck was that? In base Persona 5, Morgana disappears after we defeat Yaldabaoth and does not return until 50 21 days later. Thankfully, it's where the new content in Persona 5 Royal changes it. Fortunately, it's not that much better. Morgana returns on Christmas Day, so this one day later, everyone's so happy. Some of them have said that Morgana didn't come back immediately, but everyone just accepts it and nobody assaults Morgana. I guess because it's animal abuse, I guess. Whatever. But why doesn't everyone get universally pissed at Morgana when his offense is much worse than Ryuji's? As I said before, this game has no spine because of moments like this. The game has no moments where the player just becomes frozen. No moments where they stare at the screen and cannot believe what just happened. There are no moments where the player realizes that anything can happen to these characters. This moment right here should have been one of the game's biggest shocks. Ryuji should have died right here. I love Ryuji, do not get me wrong, but if Ryuji would have died right there, the entire game would have been different and potentially better. Like, yeah, there's still other factors that Ryuji's death wouldn't fix, but still, the overall theme of the game would have been better. This is where the game should have taken a big risk. If Ryuji would have gotten killed, the motivation for defeating Yaldabaoth would have been so much more better and relatable. That's the route the game should have taken. But it didn't. It went for a scene where it wanted players to go, "Oh, Ryuji, I cannot believe you made us think you were dead. That is so funny. Now he's on the ground knocked out." It's so funny. Instead, it made me go, here's the thing, right? Akechi was always dead, and Maruki brought him back because of shock value, I guess. If Royal would have replaced Akechi with Ryuji, that would have been insane. That would have been absolutely insane. But I guess that would have taken actually writing skills again, wouldn't it? I understand that the players wanted more Akechi in the game, and that's fine. But couldn't Akechi have actually made it out of Shido ship alive with no Maruki bullshit, and Ryuji was actually the one who got brought back? That would have made total sense. The fan thieves would have all want Ryuji to come back. Maruki could have made some reason why he came back and he survived. But then when a moment comes that he isn't real and he's still dead in reality, that would have been sick. That would have been awesome. But again, no spine, no balls. So after the whole Maruki stuff ends, this is where I absolutely despise the game. All the work we went through, it just doesn't matter. It didn't matter at all. All the work, just poof. With Maruki's reality gone, the entire game goes on as if none of the alternate reality stuff happened, except for the Phantom Thieves knowing. So, like, if we were to hang out with a confidant during the alternate reality time, would they remember the time we spent together? I mean, we defeat Maruki, and then time rewinds. We still rank up with all those people during the free time while infiltrating Maruki's palace. If I were to completely rank up a confidant who wasn't part of the Phantom Thieves, let's say from rank 4 all the way up to 10 somehow, and time rewound back to December, what happens to the confidant? Are they still in trouble? Are they maxed out still? So time moves on, and now it's Valentine's Day. Alright, cool. So March 3rd happens, and the entire game, minus Samiri, comes together, and Ryuji just drops the ball and says, "Hey guys, I'm moving away." Then literally everyone else takes a turn and say, "Oh, actually, I'm going to be moving away too," or "I'm actually going to be doing this, so I'm not going to be around anymore." I don't understand the scene. The only two who don't say they're moving away are Yusuke and Futaba. Like, what is the actual point of this scene? It's supposed to show that people will move away, that everything has an end. Like, yeah, no shit. I want this game to end. Time skips forward, and now we have to celebrate White Day? What the hell is really White Day? I guess it's just Valentine's Day too? Oh my god, get this over with. We have to go to numerous places to pick up gifts and go to our partner. I chose Sumire for this run, and this was very nice and pleasant, I guess. I would just rather have the game be over with. So yeah, eventually time does get forward. We say goodbye to everyone, and then we leave. Oh boy. But would you believe me, I told you that the ending of the game is terrible. The game's ending is also one of the most wholesome endings I've ever watched. You leave LeBlanc for the last time, you see Sojiro look at the journal you kept up to date with, and he wipes away a tear. That's awesome. That's really good. Akira walks out to the station to go home, but he sees his friends in the van calling him. Yusuke and Akira walk into the van and decide to have one last road trip where Akira lives. They look back and see a black car with two guys watching them. Who are these guys? Who knows? Okay. Fine. Okay. So yeah, the game's over. They drive off onto a road, and they're laughing and playing around. This is the perfect ending. They drive off into the horizon on one last adventure. Not on a metaverse adventure to fix society, but one last adventure of this discovery and friendship. That's history right there, do you understand? The credits roll, and the music is played. It almost brought me to tears, I'm not gonna lie. It's so good. It's so damn perfect. For such a broken game, it almost left me at tears in the end. How did it do that? I guess I don't really know. There is an end credit scene where they're still driving down. They see an ocean by the road. Nothing really happens, but just seeing our cast one last time. Kind of weird, but hey, I liked it. The ending to this game has to be one of the biggest sins I've ever seen committed when making an enhanced re-release. The ending to this game is such a big slap to the face and a kick to the balls to the original ending. This game's ending makes zero sense, and I don't understand why they changed it this badly. I will focus on the true ending because this is the ending the game wants you to have. So we still go to our friends and say goodbyes, grab our items from our max rank confidants, and see Shojiro shed a tear. Still great, so everything's going great so far. So everything goes the same until the whole mysterious black car situation. Still have no clue who these dudes are. Are they Shido's men? Why are they still even following us? What does it matter? But then a taxi pulls up and is none other than Dr. Maruki. Oh boy, oh man, he's still alive, I guess. Okay, so Akira gets into the taxi while the rest of the gang goes away and the black car follows them. Okay. We have a one-on-one moment with Maruki in a separate place. Maruki gives us a piece of advice. If you are struggling in life, you can start over, just like me. I mean, yeah, sure. Homeboy went to school for many years to become a social worker just for all for the mean he becomes a taxi driver. I mean, out of all things, become a taxi driver? Man, master's degrees are really worthless nowadays, aren't they? So Maruki drives off and a van pulls up again. Our friends wish us all well once again and they say goodbye. They then drive off and the car keeps following them. What? Okay. So Akira then walks up to the station and none other than Sumire walks by cause plot. Morgana also decides that he's coming with us because I just whatever. We walk by Sumire and then we go onto the train and the curtain drops. That's Persona 5 Royal. Almost. There's an end credit scene where Akira looks back in a window and then there's a reflection of him, but as Joker. Then it just ends. What the f did that mean? This ending is dog shit. Look at the previous ending. The friends drive off into the sunset with one last big adventure in store for them. Here they just drive off and are like, bye, see you soon. Like, what? Where's the majesty of it all? There's no emotions. I felt nothing from this. Not to mention they didn't have to throw in the confusing ending shot. Like, what's it supposed to be? No matter what, you'll always be Joker on the inside or whatever. Fuck that. This is stupid. Erase this ending. Boo. Boo. This sucks. The credits song was garbage. I don't know why they had a new credits song. This song sucks. I'm sorry. It sucks. It's not even enjoyable. It's not because I'm angry at the ending. I listened to it again. It just sucks. I firmly believe that the new story in Persona 5 Royal should have been DLC for the original game. Now, I know what you're all thinking about right now. Mr. Rachi, it can't just be an expansion. Just too many tweaks. There's new gameplay mechanics. There's new characters. You have to play the entire game again. It just wouldn't work as DLC. To that I say, no you don't. Let's take something for example.
Bury the light deep within. Cast aside, there's no coming home. We're burning chaos in the wind. Drifting in the ocean.
Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition is an enhanced re-release of the original Devil May Cry 5 with upgraded visuals, new music, new modes, and other good. This release was $40 at launch. It doesn't have much new story content, but you get to play as Virgil now throughout the main story. If this release was going to be $60, that would be a bit problematic, for you can get the original Devil May Cry for less than $20 most of the time. $40 is perfect. Another example, why don't we?
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Doom Eternal launched their first DLC, The Ancient Gods, here a while back, and it was a tiny bit more costly than the average DLC. It was $20. And Bethesda decided to re-release Doom Eternal a year later with slightly better visuals and this DLC added on, and part 2 potentially added on too, and release it for $60 or more. That would have been a little upsetting. Why should anyone have to buy the same game again for more than they potentially paid for just for an additional 5+ hour experience? Not to mention, Doom Eternal's ending was perfect. This is exactly how I feel about Persona 5 Royal. There isn't enough new content to justify this as a whole new game. New visuals are barely noticeable. The loading times are better, but even original Persona 5's loading times weren't even that big of a problem to me. And the new story just sucks ass. This should have been DLC, not a $60 game you can buy. It is not worth $60. I do not feel like I got my money's worth at all. There's not enough to justify a $60 price tag, and yet there's just too many things added to be a standard DLC. It's in this strange middle ground. But here's the thing. The original Persona games got enhanced re-releases as well. The original Persona games got enhanced re-releases on the PSP, making it more accessible during the time. Persona 3 got Persona 3 FPS while still on the PlayStation 2. It had a new story segment, some other small enhancements, and best of all, a lower price tag. Persona 4 had Persona 4 Golden on the Vita and now on a PC, and which made it handheld and more accessible on more systems. It had better graphics and new story as well. What does Persona 5 Royal do for the consumer? And don't forget that this was released 3 years ago. This was released just 3 years after the original game. There isn't a whole lot of time in between these games. If they wanted to make this more justifiable, maybe a Switch port would have been cool. There are no Persona games over there, so that would have been cool. Regardless, you can get base Persona 5 for less than $20 at almost every retailer. This game does not add $40 worth of content, and not even close. Persona 5 Royal has its own DLC, all of it being greedy, useless bullshit, however. $15 for Samiri outfits? Wow, what a goddamn steal! Don't forget, you can only use Samiri as a playable character in this little segment when you enter Maruki's palace and when you finally infiltrate Maruki officially in the 3rd semester of the game. The entire new segment is less than 5 hours worth, so you only have that much time to play with her. I'm glad there's an overly expensive costume package for her. It's totally worth it, right? Oh, speaking of DLCs, look at these amazing steals! All this amazing DLC will cost you around $60, just as much as the game. If you bought the game and all the DLC, that's $120 for it all. Wow. Just thank God this stuff is mostly useless and isn't needed at all, so nobody's forcing you to buy it, so you don't have to get this stuff to fully 100% the game. Gameplay is a reason people defend this game very heavily. I've already admitted that the life simulator is pretty alright with some flaws. Royal tweaked the confidant system so you can rank them up faster and some appear in the story earlier than before. I like that. Even at a time in this game, it's still pretty difficult to rank up every single confidant in one playthrough, unless you're using a guide that tells you what to do every single day. But if you do that, are you even playing a game anymore? You're just following an instruction book on how to beat the game. There's no fun in that. But let's focus on the combat within the game. I personally enjoyed encountering enemies within the palaces and mementos. It does get a little old fast when you get deep into a palace, when you already know all the shadows' weaknesses. So when you encounter an enemy, you already know how to beat them efficiently. When you enter a palace for the first time, you don't know the weaknesses. It's exciting to go through each element, see what works and what hits you in the face. Literally, there are a lot of new mechanics with the game, with Royal even giving more. The Velvet Room got some new mechanics like the alarm system. Sometimes in the metaverse, you'll get notified that the Velvet Room has activated its alarm, meaning that when you go in, everything is more powerful. You can summon way powerful personas and get better items. I like the mechanic, but I wish it happened less. You can wipe out every weak shadow in mementos until you get the alarm. It does not very take long to get this alarm, by the way. The alarm goes away once you leave the metaverse or leave the Velvet Room once entered. If you continue through the metaverse, even in a palace or mementos, you can just keep grinding away until the alarm comes back. It should have been a system that happens like once a day. I mean, hell, Chihaya can cause the alarm to turn on if you get her rank high enough. It's just too often, doesn't leave the impression of being a rare occurrence. Back to combat, you can use your melee weapons or firearms. In base Persona 5, you're given a very small amount of ammo each time you enter the metaverse. So if you had 8 rounds in Joker's pistol, that's it. You don't get any more to leave the metaverse. Thankfully, Royal fixed this where each battle refills your ammo. But firearms in these games are so weird, however. There isn't a difference between weapons. I mean, really, there isn't. How does Joker's pistols do the exact same damage as Ryuji's shotgun? How does Ryuji's shotgun even work? I mean, shotguns are very effective at short range, yet Ryuji can shoot enemies down at the exact same damage range, no matter how far or how big they are. Ani and Yusuke use machine guns, Haru uses a grenade launcher, Ketsu uses a laser pistol, and Sumire uses a lever-action rifle. All of them do basically the exact same thing, except for Haru, who only has 1 grenade shot and damages the entire enemies in the group. Royal changed how baton passes work. Each playable character can use his ability, so you have to rank up the confidants to get it. Once you get the baton pass, they can recover health and increase damage. Then when you pass the baton again, they recover even more health and do even more damage. It can be absolutely broken sometimes, but it's a cool feature. But again, knowing the enemy weaknesses, it just gets boring. It becomes a muscle pattern, basically. Royal added a new way to eliminate enemies faster with the Showtime attack. These attacks are used when you or the enemy are at a low health. You can trigger it and see a cutscene of 2 Phantom Thieves doing something cool and then doing great damage to the enemy. These are great if you can take in the absurd humor sometimes. So how the hell does any of this really happen in the battle? I mean, this seems really out of place. That's where Jose comes in. Jose is a very weird character, mostly because the game doesn't give him any character. We don't know who he is or why he exists, but Jose gives us this thing called the wishing star. This is how the game explains how showtimes works. That's cool, I guess. So Jose also has the capability of changing the entirety of mementos so you can gain more items, XP, or money from the battles. You have to collect these stamps throughout mementos. You can also collect flowers floating around and give them to Jose in exchange for items or will seeds left behind. Oh right, I haven't talked about those yet. Will seeds are these items that pop up in every single palace except for mementos. These are apparently the core of the distortion of the villain's heart. You can find these will seeds hidden around the palace, and when you collect them, they restore some SP to all party members. When you collect all 3 in the palace, they combine into a wearable item that gives you some ability or skill. You can then give that new item to Jose, who will refine it into a new item. I never use these because why would you? SP Adhesive 3 is the only item you need in the entire game, and I'm being serious here. These will seed items seem like they can help you out a lot. The game claims that you can only collect these will seeds while you're inside the palace, but you can spy on Jose for 400 flowers each. You can hold up to 999 flowers, and you can easily reach that max amount by going through a path and a half. It's like, really, who the hell is Jose? You don't find out who he is. There is a secret boss fight with him where if you collect enough stamps and go through Maruki's palace, he's just there. Is he an offspring thing from Maruki? Who knows? Probably not. Who cares? But it does say there are more people observing humanity than we realize. God, so confusing. Is he talking about the Velvet Room or something? Who cares? Who knows?
Hey, Jose, who's this person you keep mentioning? And while we're at it, who are you?
I am me. I'm Jose, a boy who got a little smarter because I met all of you.
God damn it! God damn it! God damn it! God damn it! God damn it!
It's so dumb that they didn't give this egg boy a proper backstory. He just says bye-bye and just goes away. Wow, what a great character. Combat and exploration in this game are quite big, but it doesn't mean it goes without sin. An issue I had, it was a lack of usability in the team. Here's a team I've always used. Joker, Ryuji, Morgana, and an open slot. Joker because, well, you have to. Ryuji for the insane physical damage he can produce. Morgana for his healing tank abilities. And the free spot for whoever has the best skills needed for that palace. So if we were going through Kanashiro's palace, you're obviously going to want to have Makoto be in that spot because her nuke skills can take down most enemies. In the last palace, I mainly used Joker, Ryuji, Morgana, and Akechi. Akechi didn't really have special moves that could down enemies faster, but he had a really useful move set. Occasionally, Yusuke would take Ryuji's spot if needed, if Ryuji was too weak, ran out of SP, or we needed a nice attack. But both Ryuji and Yusuke have incredible physical attacks, but everyone else doesn't have nothing special. One major complaint people have with this game is how the game will be over if Joker gets down. I never understood this, because the game never ends if anyone else is down. If you don't revive a character after the battle ends, they'll just come back, but with extremely low HP. Joker never gets that privilege. We can control the other characters and even have them use items, including, oh, I don't know, revival items? Who honestly thought this was a good idea? In no other RPG I've ever played, I have never seen this mechanic. I have played Final Fantasy games, Earthbound, South Park, The Stick of Truth. None of these games haven't had this mechanic. Can the party seriously not function without Joker? They are humans with free will. Continue on without him. Revive him immediately. This is ridiculous. Maybe in Persona 3 it would make sense because you can't control the other party members, but you can control everyone. Going through palaces is something strange as well. There is a stealth mechanic where you can hide behind shadows or behind objects and to hide from the enemy shadows. What I didn't like was the fact that a lot of the battles were unavoidable. If we're gonna be thieves, isn't the whole point of it not being caught or seen? Why can't they go through every palace stealthily and steal the treasure without battling one shadow? With the exception of the major boss, of course. That would have been a really cool way to play the game. It would have been like Metal Gear Solid. You can either go in with guns blazing or sneak your way around. What's also very strange is how the stealth isn't that consistent. I swear, I was always either fully sprinting down these hallways or hiding behind something waiting for a shadow to go away or waiting to ambush him. This is what every palace basically consists of, and it gets old fast. One other mode I didn't understand is rush mode. What the hell is rush mode? It makes zero sense, and I was hoping that in the Royal, they would have an actual speed up mode where everything goes faster, but no, of course they didn't. Why would they? Why would they change something that's so useful? This is the most useless mechanic in the entire game since adding on to your party. Rush mode gives the illusion that the game is speeding up so you can get out of the battle faster, but in reality, it's only speeding up the Phantom Thief's physical attack animations, but the enemies are still at normal speed. I mean, why? This would have been so useful, so we had to sit through these long, boring animations like Kamoshido's Lustful Sip or Okumura's Big Bang Burger attack. Who would have thought this was okay to put in the game? Persona 5 Royal adds these challenge battles, most of them being locked behind paid DLC, by the way. These battles test your skills in both combat and how you think. You have to defeat enemies in a certain ways to complete the following challenge. There are 2 additional fights where you can fight the previous protagonists from Persona 3 and 4. Awesome additions, I would say. It's a fun challenge to see how good you are at the game's battles. But the fact that most of them are stuck behind a DLC is not worth the price tag. It's just very dumb. I feel like I am forgetting something. Oh yeah, Thieves' Den. That's okay, I never used it. I don't care for it. That's all. The last complaint that numerous people had, myself including, is this statement. Persona 5 Royal is too goddamn easy. Even on its hardest difficulty, I breezed through every fight and encounter like it was the first enemies in the first area of the game. I felt no challenge playing this. It's just too easy. Moving on to graphics, the graphics in the game are an easy W for Atlas and the PlayStation community. Yes, the visuals are absolutely breathtaking. It's crisp, it's colorful, it's full of life, and it never chokes in the FPS. This is absolutely the best looking game Atlas has ever put so far. The game doesn't focus on facial animations too much except for all these kinds of cutscenes. The little portraits look great, but too damn good, honestly. Explained in the first video, Anna is supposed to be the natural beauty and nobody can compare to her, but everyone else in the game looks like great and attractive. Futaba is supposed to be this frail shut-in who barely gets any sun and doesn't leave the house, but yet she looks extremely healthy with clean hair and clean skin. I think the artists forget that some characters are supposed to look different or bad. Everyone looks like a 10 out of 10. The environments and places you get to go through are so amazing. Even the boring, monotonous hallways like Okumura's palace and Shido's palace are somewhat nice to look at. I enjoyed how quiet and small Young Gaia was, and the big hustle and bustle of the actual city life. The combat sequences are full of effects, and it's very pleasing to watch your Persona attacks. The bosses themselves look awesome as well. Just everything you get to see in this game is just pure eye candy. Not to mention the anime cutscenes are really damn awesome as well. It makes me wonder why the official Persona 5 anime wasn't animated by the same people. Because it's trash. Persona 5's Royal soundtrack is also a great thing as well. This is where a lot of people like to point to where they say the game is a 10 out of 10. Obviously, it's far from it, but the music is really damn good as well. In fact, it's great. Sometimes the music can be annoying. Really annoying sometimes. Sexy! Other than that, listening to the soundtrack is something I actually quite enjoy. Royal added plenty of new music, and none of them really disappointed me other than the ending theme. One new track is a lot of people's new favorites, which is Takedown. This track plays when you ambush an enemy instead of the classic Last Surprise. Here's my take on it. I don't like Takedown that much. It's not that bad, but it gets kind of annoying and repetitive after a while. The same thing can be applied to Last Surprise as well, but it's just so damn easy to ambush an enemy in the game. So I heard this track way more than Last Surprise. The music that plays when you're in the real world is peaceful. The tracks that play when you get deeper and deeper into Mementos is dark, ominous, and spooky. Just every song in this game is really, really good. They're catchy. Now, it's not the definition of a masterpiece, but still really good. Persona music has always been something that doesn't disappoint. I frequently use Persona 5 music as background noise because of how just pleasant it is. I really enjoy the soundtrack here. I think it's an easy point right there. In the end, I can't really comprehend this game's existence. I mean, what a mess. What an absolute mess. There have been way bigger messes in a video game before, but never have seen a video game this messy with this huge of a fan base behind it. This game isn't the worst. Don't take my criticism like that. It's not the worst, but it's not good. Could I recommend this game to people? No. Could I recommend the other Persona games to people? Maybe. Persona 5 Royal is pathetic. This was a huge annoyance in my life for the past year or so, and I cannot comprehend the sheer popularity of this game. If you like or love this game, that's really goddamn awesome for you. If you want to dislike this video, tell me to go Persona 3 myself in the comments, and then block me on all social media, go right ahead. This was my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Persona 5 Royal is not good. It will never be a 10 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10, not an 8 out of 10, and you know what? Not really a 7 out of 10. It has terrific characters and places, it has good story elements, but it just continually drops the ball in every little aspect by the end of the game. Every plot device or mechanic is inconsistent. This game is such a mystery to me. This game is not worth $60. It's not worth 50, nor 40. I would be satisfied with the $30 price range. It's a very long game, has many things to do in it, so anything below 30 would be okay. The base game can be completed, however, under 50 hours if you don't focus too much on the confidants and other side stuff. But how long is new content in this game? It's actually pretty short. It's like under 5 hours. How can anyone really defend this? I mean, that's like if Christopher Nolan re-released Inception in theaters and claimed it had brand new special scenes that just can't be missed, just for the movie's perfect ending to be Leonardo DiCaprio laying on a couch eating Cheerios and spinning his top for 5 minutes. Then the movie just ends. How is this remotely acceptable? The ending to the game is seriously one of the worst endings I've ever sat through. Persona's future is also very concerning for me. This game got way more popular than any other entry in the series. Atlas will see the success and say, hey, why should we actually try next time? People will buy whatever they release as long as it says Persona. Persona 6 will be really goddamn awesome or a goddamn abortion. I don't even know if I want to play another Persona game in the future because of this particular game. The bar has been set so low that I can't expect Persona 6 to be great. Maybe it'll be the best game ever created, but if it's like Persona 5 Royal, I will not be buying it day 1, or month 1, or even year 1. In fact, why would you even buy a Persona 6 when you know there's going to be an enhanced re-release anyways? It makes you wonder why Persona fans even buy the original game when they know an enhanced title is coming a few short years soon. Just god damn it, this should have been so much better. It sounds like a badass experience, nothing but untapped, pure potential. Atlas had a golden goose right here, but they just dropped it on his head. There's not a doubt in my mind when I say I will never return to Persona 5 Royal for a replay. The music is something I always come back to, however. I will take that one. Persona 5 Royal will forever be the game that should have been good. But nope, people will forever love this series and this game, and I don't know how. I firmly believe to the end of time that no matter what they do in future spin-offs, no matter what they do in the future, Persona 5 Royal will forever be the definition of lost potential. Thank you for watching.